Everyone, thank you for joining the Future Proof podcast. My name is Mysinek. I am joined here with Colton. He is the founder of Nimbus Smart Solutions. We're going to just get in a little bit of talk about his company, highlight that, and then we're also going to talk about what's going on in the marketplace. So, Colton, thank you for joining me today.
Yeah, thank you, Alex. Happy to be here. Yeah, at Nimbus, we're a fairly new shop. We're out of Central Ohio. We have a couple of different areas that we really specialize on, but the big focus of our brand and our organization is bringing that corporate level IT knowledge and automation and cybersecurity expertise down to a level where you can have that enterprise level, even if you're a mom and pop shop or a small and medium sized business, or maybe you're an enterprise organization looking to further expand and have some additional eyes set on some really high scale projects. We work specifically on designing and putting things in place, going through a tiered system for solutions that actually work. That's the big thing. It's not just going through and saying, you know what, here's a bunch of tools. Are they actually going to meet your needs? Looking at where you're at right now and beginning with the end in mind, saying, you know what, maybe you're a business out there that is trying to get ISO 27001 certified. Maybe you're trying to go up on your NIST 500-83 or 58s, and you're really going out there and you're trying to get things in place and grow your organization and not have to spend a lot of money to do it either. You know, one of the great things about being a smaller, more lean team is we can offer really great prices. So it's a
Well,
little bit
and,
about my shop.
well, and also not even great prices. It also sounds more of like that white glove experience to where you can kind of come in and tailor everything specifically for their business. So I think that's huge because, like me opening up on a new business, everything that you talked about with the IT or cybersecurity, kind of verbiage there. A lot of businesses don't even really understand or not even know how important cybersecurity is to them. So you coming in and just kind of helping them and being able to, have their mind at ease and be protected. I think that's really what's valuable.
I agree. I agree completely, Alex. A lot of the times these smaller businesses don't realize the impact that a major incident can have on their organization. And they think, you know what, I don't make a ton of money. Maybe I make 500 to $1 million or even up to like $5 million, that we're not going to be a target. Well, every business is a target. If you're making money, you're probably a target. And a lot of the times it's not super creative solutions that people falter on. It's actually social engineering is where the majority of those attacks come from, and explaining that really simple measures can reduce that risk profile and you don't need to spend an arm and a leg to it. And you can look at the organization and build that risk reduction profile into that, and that's something that we really try to work at here at Nimbus.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. Social engineering or the way that obviously you're not doing classes on the other stuff like phishing and stuff like that. But yeah, social engineering is crazy on how, and that's only going to get, I think that's only going to get more rampant and easier for the hackers to achieve with AI and everything that's coming down the pipeline too, as well. So it's definitely important to get secure.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it takes AI is such a new frontier, and there are so many available tools. I mean, you have Copilot from Microsoft, Gemini from Google, Anthropic. You have so many different tools at your hand. You have Meta's LLaMA for the open source community out there that gives you options. I mean, even China came out with DeepSeek, which disrupted a lot of the AI market for a while. I mean, for 3 or 4 days, it wiped off almost 3 trillion in market share off of a lot of big tech companies because they said they did it off so cheap. But there are so many tools that can take an average user and make them extremely proficient. Now, it's not perfect. Don't get me wrong. There are times where there's hallucinations and there are other things, and being able to fact check just a little bit, just every now and again, doing a little secure audit to make sure that your information is correct in checking your work, huge, but it can save a lot of time in areas that maybe people don't realize. Like a lot of the time, Anthropic CEO last year, almost to the date, said 90% of code is going to be out there and created by AI. A lot of engineering teams, good engineering teams, don't like it because it creates a lot of vulnerabilities. But if you have an average user, it can make them in-house tools. Software as a service is going to be completely changing because of this. People don't have to worry about exposing a bunch of things to the network and buying it off the shelf. Salesforce, HubSpot, a lot of those CRMs, they can now be built in-house by models like that. And then you don't have to pay a subscription fee every month. Salesforce, one of the largest platforms out there for it, one of the biggest, is probably going to be impacted very heavily by this. A lot of those other software as a service industries and businesses, if they don't have a hardware component of them, and they don't have a licensing component to them that's really solid, in the next 3 to 4 years, they'll probably see a lot of in-house tools being built and people will move away from them and it'll become more decentralized because people can just go on to one of these LLMs, any one of the models basically at that point, and build the tool themselves in plain language and say, I want a tool like Salesforce. I want a tool like HubSpot. I want a Netflix clone. They can sit there and they can just build it out for them. Now, it's not perfect right now, but in probably about 2 to 3 years' time, it will be so convincing that it will really reshape that market. And the peoples that have the hardware models to support them, like you, for example, Larry Ellison from Oracle, just signed a massive deal, multi-year with OpenAI and ChatGPT, and he overtook Elon Musk as the richest person in the entire world because of that hardware data center component. And data centers are so crucial getting those chips. That's why the Intel plant in Ohio, for example, being stunted in growth and being talked about that 10% investment from the federal government and trying to build it out is so important because the AI race is heating up so fast with us and China that it's really, really growing super quick. And to stay at the forefront, you need the hardware to complement the software and then showing it how it can benefit people's lives. Gemini, for example, I was a lifelong iPhone user for almost 12 years. I use Google Suite almost because Gemini is that powerful. I mean, being able to go through your camera and see what you're talking about and ask real time talking, finding what is the best ointment cream and then having it pointed out and show it to you where it is on a shelf is completely game changing. I mean, it gives you that multimodal, which means you can use text, image, and voice all at the same time, really revolutionizes the average user and puts a super powerful tool. This is the kind of tool that is equivalent, in my opinion, to how the iPhone was when it first came out. When Steve Jobs put it out there, this is that kind of turning point, and Apple's really fallen behind from that. I mean, the Pixel series has been incredible for it. I is truly at that forefront for it.
I mean, so what? A little bit, more from the talk phone. So you were an iPhone user for however long. I know it's not a little bit off topic. What did you switch to?
I switched to a Pixel 9. So my family was a bunch of iPhone users, and we switched to the Pixel series on the Father's Day sale last year. Turns out I could have just waited, and I could have got the 10 for the exact same deal. Wasn't, but you know what? That's okay. It was a little difficult for like the first, I'd say 3 weeks. It was a little different than what I used to. I had Androids back in the day, but after seeing the actual software improvements, quality of life and stuff, I don't miss my iPhone at all. I mean, learning how to navigate it was a little bit higher standards, but having those AI assistants like Gemini on device, that was super powerful, being able to set calendar events by taking a picture of it or going live and doing it, and it creating 20 different calendar events off of a literal little script thing is crazy. Not having to go through, I mean, a lot of the different quality of life things, Magic Queue is one of the really, really cool things. iPhones just got live translation and stuff like that. Apparently Pixels and Samsung's had it for 5 years plus. And the call hold is incredible quality of life. I mean, a lot of these different things make the average user experience a lot better. And it wouldn't have been possible without this huge influx of money. And honestly, it wouldn't have been possible without ChatGPT hitting the market that one day back in, I would say 2023. And then that app is going crazy because everyone else had put an incredible amount of pressure on.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's, I've been an iPhone, or not, I was an iPhone user and then switched to Samsung probably about 15 years ago. I never looked back, or like 10 years ago or whatever it was. I just think the customability of it and everything else. I mean, iPhone's really good for sure. Users that don't want to customize and just have the ease of use. But if you want to do any type of customization to your phone, I mean, it's like, it's not even there. So yeah. All right, well, cool. I mean, yeah, that's what your business. I know that you are focused on kind of small to mid-sized businesses, or even, enterprise services. What services do you cover on your website? I saw that you had the three tiers. You have the basic, advanced, and the enterprise. What's the difference between those services, and kind of what business are you kind of like? What's your perfect client right now? Kind of what are you targeting, and what are you trying to acquire right now for a client?
I think the perfect client is the client that I can help the most,
Yeah.
even with a smaller budget, because getting these tools out there, I want to build a recurring trust with my customers and my clients that when they come back and they ask me, 6 months, hey, we have another project coming up. We'd love to have you help consult on this. How can we get to this point? This is where we're at. The different tiers. The first tier is a basic services tier. We'll give a solution, set up a framework, do something that is in smaller scale. It is kind of a welcome to the industry. These are some of the quality of life improvements we can give you. Here's a couple that you see it without a high price tag or a barrier to entry. We're obviously not like an IBM or a Google or anything like that, where we're going to charge $300 a month to give you these crazy things. But at the same time, we're also going to give you that white glove experience that you can go out there and you can implement these. You can implement them on premise, or we can implement them in the cloud for you. The
Nice.
medium tier is kind of that like middle ground, like, hey, you know what? It's not quite the premium services with the tailored solution to everything that you need. But for the majority of clients, it usually gets them to where they need to go. Or if they need to really go a little bit further, and they need more assistance on a specific project. I helped a client out about a week and a half ago with a website issue. She was currently dealing with a solution that was mixing up her mailbox, and she was a massage therapist website. And a lot of the times the connections and things like that, we implemented some AI, we reconfigured her website for it, and I trained the personnel that was running it to correctly identify these issues, and we were able to save her well over $1,500 on the year by doing this. And then I showed her that if she wanted to change providers, now she has options because she's not reliant on that single person's piece of software. That if she needed to switch, she could save herself potentially over $1,000 a year. Things like that, really come in handy. And then if you go with the more premium package, the custom tier at the very end is what you need is what you will get. So we will tailor that experience to you, what your solutions are. We will roadmap it. And if we aren't able to provide it, we're not going to sit there and waste your time and say, we can deliver this crazy experience. Sometimes there are solutions that are out of our hands, and we're going to refer you to somebody that can take care of those needs for you, or we're going to refer you to a tool that suits for that,
Nice.
providing that experience.
How do you now? So if I came to you as a business, or someone watching this podcast has a business, how do you identify what tier or what is the best solution for their business?
Gather those needs and we ask questions. The biggest thing is communication, people, process, technology, learning the people, understanding what business they're in, gaining knowledge into that process for them, and understanding what are they working with now and what are they ultimately trying to achieve in their business, and then getting that roadmap between mapped out so that we can get there. And then technology, implementing the technology as the third step in that. People, process, technology is the way that we operate all of our business. I like to live by a 1-3-1 philosophy. You identify one correct problem, get it fully fleshed out, half the work is done. Then you go in and you say, you know what? I have 3 solutions here that could work, and then I go and I give them my recommended solution of those 3. Give them the option, give them the choices and say, "You know what? Business may not be the best for these 2 solutions. This is why I recommend solution A or solution B or solution C," and then let them make that decision. Let them understand that they have control of decision of it. Maybe there's a budget issue, maybe they can't replace their technology, maybe there's a regulatory issue. Whatever it is, give them that freedom of choice to shop around and don't make them locked in. Embrace the power that it can provide them and the freedom that it can as well.
Oh yeah. And I think the most important, obviously, pillars of that is the first two, the people and the processes, because then the technology is just going to follow after that if you can figure out that. So, no, I think that's genius, and it just shows you kind of the level of like client service that you're focused on that way as well, instead of just coming in and giving them a solution that you don't even know what a problem is, or trying to give them the piece of tech before you even know what processes they have in their business or their pain points. I think you're doing it the right way. So your bio mentions that you have a blend of enterprise level IT expertise with a passion for your rural Ohio community. What was the spark that led you to find Nimbus Smart Solutions? Kind of what was that driver for you?
Well, yeah, so I have a background. I originally come from the Navy. I'd spent just under a Navy doing IT systems, security work, you know, really delving into that space. And after I had retired from the Navy, I went into a company called CRH and I worked in their field services engineering department, managed data centers, different on sites, and things like that. And then I took a job with uh, NiSource, Columbia Gas's parent company. And at NiSource, I really found my passion in their cloud team. I was part of their infrastructure operations team, leading that whole cloud space and a cloud transformation there. And with my background, I found that, you know what, this is something that I'm really, really passionate about doing. I really enjoy this. I went on and worked for a corporate credit union as a cloud engineer 3. I'm, did a lot of time in the Azure space, a little bit of time in the AWS space. I just realized, you know what if I brought this into a realm where not just enterprise corporations could benefit? What if I brought it into a place where businesses of all sides could? Because the
Right.
majority of businesses nowadays, there are a huge top percent where a lot of them are big businesses, but over 50% of the country is still small businesses, small and medium businesses. And I wanted to be able to bring that experience and give them the option to go in there and have that knowledge and get those skills put down and allow them to grow and to have those solutions in to maybe take, maybe you have a small business that you have like 3 or 4 chains and you're like, you know what, I do a pretty decent amount of ROI on my year and I just want to grow, but I can't afford a whole IT department. Okay. How can we automate some things and bring you up to that level and save you a lot of money? Or maybe you're an enterprise industry and you're like, you know what? I want to go through some changes. I want to go more lean. I want to cut out a lot of middle management and I want to embrace some of the cultural changes that are coming down the pipes. I want to, or maybe I don't want to cut anyone out. Maybe I want to give the tools to make my people more efficient and teach them how to do these things safely and ethically. That's a big thing in our industry right now is safe and ethical usage of it because a lot of the time people could take it and they could do terrible things. You know, you can make a clone of somebody's voice and of their image and stuff like that and basically make a copy of them. And a lot of the times nowadays, the industries need to be aware of is those tools. But if used safely and ethically, some of the same tools can be used by these smaller businesses to really promote them, save them a lot of money, save them a lot of time. And that's what I'm all about is safe, ethical, and consumer friendly usage, whether it's teaching, whether it's instruction, going all about those things and putting my background and experience to use and making that business successful with whatever their goals are.
I love it. So you're more of like a partner than anything, really. I mean, coming in their business and trying to figure out things to kind of streamline stuff and partner with them to grow.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, good. Well, so talking about growth, moving ahead, looking at 2026, have you set any ambitious goals for Nimbus? Kind of what is your outlook for 2026? Where are you trying to get to, and how are you going to get there?
Well, some ambitious goals. We also do federal and state contracting. Taking on one of these 500 plus thousand contracts and growing the business by 3 or 4 employees, really expanding on there, looking to put some of those things at place. I have a couple bids in place right now that we're hoping to see some positive traction on, and really getting that business growth up by a couple 100%, from where we are right now to where we want to be. We ultimately want to be a 35 plus $1 million a year business at least. If it goes bigger than that, obviously that's amazing, but I don't know personally if I would want to be a CEO at that point. I might move over and I might just put myself down at CTO and have hire somebody from a little bit more of an established organization at that point. But we'll get there and we'll handle that as that comes if it gets to that point.
Well, good. Yeah. I think you guys will do great things. I love your message. I like your action, the way that you kind of go ahead and help those businesses. And I think the route that you go, trying to be their partner in growth and figure out the solutions that are tailored for them, I think that's really what's going to separate you in this kind of saturated enterprise space as well. So, okay, well, you mentioned education too as well. So why don't we go into kind of where you're getting your business from, how you're getting it, everything like that. So right now, every business, no matter how much initiative they have and the challenges they face, what are you doing, or what is your biggest hurdle in reaching your potential clients? Kind of what's your roadblocks, and what things are you having right now that are standing in your way from getting to those clients that you want to speak with?
I think the biggest thing is hesitancy. A lot of time, the clients that I see and I speak to, they are nervous because they're worried about, what, maybe we don't have $1,000 to just burn, like some of the big organizations like enterprise companies do, that if they make a mistake, they've got enough capital that they can afford to make that mistake and still be fine. And they're hesitant to, like, if we introduce this new item or we do this new service or this new tool, how am I going to get my money's worth? A lot of the times, clients that I see from that hesitancy, they see IT or consultancy in that regards as a cost center. And even large organizations, they see it as a cost center as well. They see it as, this is something that we are spending money on, but it's not making us that money. How is this making us that money? And for example, maybe you're a lawn care business. One of the things that I like to tell my clients is there are a lot of solutions out there that if you think about them and there's a little bit of organization in, you can get a lot more leads and you can see those results positively, and it doesn't become a cost center. It becomes profit center at that point because it is generating those leads. You're not spending additional money and you're seeing return on investment for it. So the example that I like to give is, you're a lawn company and maybe you only see $5,000 or $6,000 in revenue a month. Biggest part of your business is contacting people and then having time to do that. Okay, well, what part of that business could we automate to save you hours or save you people and to put them to reshift the priority? One of the things is outreach on lead. A lot of these people they don't have sales teams, they don't have designated administrators to handle this kind of work. Okay, so let's go on it. Let's build out an agent for you and let's have it scrape Google Maps, run out there, and it'll cost less than $1 or $2 a month, and go in there and have it pull all that data off of the maps for all of the houses or buildings in the area, whether it's business, residential, or anything of that, even farmland. Have them automatically send an email from that using an agent and just populating off of a template saying, hey, this is something that we offer. And then have that go into a sheet, that agent, and build out from that sheet everybody that has been contacted, checking against your emails that have been sent. And then it gives you a list, and putting in that list addresses, phone numbers, emails, showing that hey, you know what? We've reached all these people. We haven't got a reply back from them. Okay, cool. I'm just going to give them a call, see if they're interested. If not, most of the time you get around 20 to 30% return on investment on that. It's only $2 and it takes 15 seconds or less to actually run this. It does it automated. And then you have a whole list built out, entire database sheet of all the people that you have reached out. And you can have it set to recur this cycle every month. Have them reach out again. Get one of those campaigns built. Maybe put a classy little video. A lot of the services now out there, like Gemini, for example, with VO4, you can make little promotional videos completely generated free. Things that cost marketing agencies thousands of dollars, you can do little 8-second promotional videos for a $20 subscription a month. It's mind blowing some of the things that you can really truthfully do with them. And a lot of times the customers just have this hesitancy because they don't know about them or they don't understand them. Bridging that gap and communicating effectively with them has been one of the most challenging things because a lot of the time it's customers in these more rural communities or even they're reaching retirement age and maybe they grew up with the internet boom and stuff like that and they understand some things but they're hesitant about privacy or they don't understand certain aspects or they're confused about concepts is explaining that difference of them and reassuring them ultimately that this is going to be a net positive, not a net negative for them.
Yeah. Yeah, I think what you just described right there for a small business that is maybe over leveraged on time. It's a 1 to 2 person shop or, any type of business. It doesn't have to be lawn care, house services. I mean, that's probably one of the most prominent businesses, small businesses in the United States anyway. And they're so busy on actually giving their services, they don't really have a lot of time to find more clients. So what you just described is like almost everyone can do, but not everyone knows how to do it. So that's kind of where you could come in and kind of help show them a little bit easier. And I think that's awesome. Yeah. So what are the type of like right now, obviously you don't have to get into specifics for the exact client, but 1 or 2 clients or maybe your best client, what have you done for them to kind of show that white glove service, or have any examples of what you've done recently that you've really focused on, or like is one of your favorite type of success stories?
Yeah, I definitely. So one of my success stories is Pick Me Massage out of Pickerington, Ohio. I think this is one of my better examples of success for this because she had a full suite that she had like 3 or 4 different people she was paying. She was paying for Microsoft, she was paying for Google, she was paying for a third-party marketing company. All of them had automation suites. She was spending 3 times the amount of money. She had a dysfunctional website. She wasn't able to reach clients effectively. She wasn't able to get appointments effectively done. We went in, I evaluated her entire suite, showed her the roadmap of things that she can potentially save on that do the same purpose, got her set on one suite, saved her 10% off the bat on the one suite that she decided to go with. She ultimately went with the Google suite. She reduced the amount that she was spending. She's spending like $80 or $90 a month on her Microsoft suite. And then also she went in and she cut out the third party service suite. She spent almost $2,000 a year on that amount of money over the year. And then on top of that, fixing her website issue, automating the appointment calendar notifications, and securing the environment is some of the things that we pride ourselves on. Not just one single box solution, providing that end to end support for it so that you can see those realistic business value cases.
I love it, man. Yeah, that's awesome. I didn't know that you were such a like a marketer slash IT guy slash all these different enterprises. So you can basically do everything there, and it's really valuable for your clients that they can kind of come to you and you can evaluate things, not only generate them money by installing things into their business, but also just save them money by getting out and identifying products and programs that they don't need to be paying for. Because I think me, even as a business owner, going down that rabbit hole of not looking at your expenses for like a year or two or whatever you're doing, if you don't really evaluate on a month to month basis, like the subscriptions that you have or things that you've done. I've even I think yesterday I was doing my budget for just me and my wife, and I signed up for this like video I like generating thing that I thought was pretty cool. And it was 3 months prior and it had like a 1 month, free subscription. And then I didn't even realize it was charging me $199 for the last 2 months. And I wasn't ever even never even using it. So it's just like it's funny what you sign up for. You think that's going to help you grow your business, but then you get busy, sidetracked, and you forget about it, and then you're kind of throwing money down the drain.
Yep, absolutely, Alex. I mean, it's really one of those things that, I come from a business background and an IT background, so I see the whole picture.
Yeah,
In working in operations, the daily uptick and monitoring constantly is something that it's at my forefront, and people process technology is something that I live by. You know, Everyone is forgetful at something. Nobody's perfect. I live by my calendar. Like my calendar is what I am the gospel to. And if you'd have asked me 4 years ago, 5 years ago, I would not have been able to say that. My wife is probably my biggest supporter on this. She has made me a full convert of the calendar. I used to just run everything off memory because I had really good memory and I was in my youth. And I was like, you know what? I could do that. And then after converting to that and understanding that, being intentional with your actions and the processes that you bring in your personal life really hold over into your business life. And it goes both ways too. And so, like, just like your example for, the payments, I have a fully automated script sequence that runs every month. I don't pay for any of the big services like that. It costs me 12 cents a month to do that. Now, to implement it, it took me about 4 hours, 4.5 hours to actually build it, but it was really, really a struggle to get it right. Now it fully generates all my Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4 reports. It selects and drops every email in my inbox for every invoice. It saves them to my Google Drive on automating them so I can go into the same point. All of my invoices, my expense reports all go into a separate box in a separate folder in my drive so that I can see those as well. And then I can see my month over. It shows where they are, who they are. It even drops in a PDF of the actual receipt for it so that I can just click on it. Automation to do crazy things like that. It just takes a little understanding of what you're looking for and how to explain to get there.
yeah. Hey man, well, awesome. I appreciate you joining me. Everything was incredibly insightful. So, where can listeners find you? Kind of shout out your business website, Instagram, Facebook, all that good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are on LinkedIn, we are on Facebook, we are on Google. Please drop us a Google review. We'd love that. Spending some time on that. And just reach out to us. My number's on there. I'm always available by my phone. So if you need me, just reach out. Again, it's Nimbus Smart Solutions, shop out of Columbus, Ohio, Canal Winchester.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it was a pleasure. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks, Alex. You have a great day.
Thank you. All right.